The alien queen cried for help. She never expected a human to answer. Queen Zerthis stood on the highest tower of her crystal palace, watching her world die. The beautiful blue-green forests of Kithara were turning gray, one tree at a time. The deadly plague spread like spilled ink across her planet, destroying everything it touched. Her 6 arms trembled as she held the communication device. She was tall, made of living crystal that glowed with soft purple light. Her people called her the Bright Queen, but today she felt very dark inside. Computer, open transmission channel to all nearby star systems, she said. Her voice was tired. She had been trying to save her people for 3 long months. Channel open, Your Majesty, the computer replied. Zerthis took a deep breath. This was her last hope. She had already asked for help from the biggest, smartest alien races in the galaxy. The Zenthari were very logical and smart, but they said helping was not practical. The Krexan were strong warriors, but they were afraid of the plague. The Ethereals were ancient and wise, but they only said sorry and flew away. This is Queen Zerthis of the Veltai Empire, she began. Our world is dying. A terrible plague is killing all life on our planet. We found an old, broken spaceship buried in our mountains 3 months ago. When our scientists opened it, something came out, something that eats all living things and turns them into gray dust. She looked down at her city. Half of it was already gray and empty. Her people were hiding in the crystal buildings, but the plague was getting closer every day. We have tried everything, she continued. Our best scientists cannot stop it. Our strongest weapons cannot destroy it. The plague learns and grows stronger. It will consume our entire world in 5 days. Her daughter, Princess Linara, was sleeping in the room below. The young princess was very sick. The plague was slowly killing her, just like it was killing everyone else. Zerthis touched the crystal wall and felt her daughter's weak heartbeat. Through their connection, I am sending you all the information we have about this plague, she said into the transmitter. Maybe one of your species can find an answer we cannot see. Please, if anyone can help us, we will give you anything. All our crystals, all our technology, all our knowledge. We just want our children to live. She waited. For 2 hours, she waited for an answer. Finally, the Zenthari responded. Queen Zerthis, came the cold, electronic voice. We have studied your data. This plague is too dangerous. We cannot risk it spreading to other worlds. We are sorry, but we must place your system under quarantine. No ships may leave or enter. Goodbye. The Krexan response came next. Veltai, Queen, your problem is too big for military solution. We cannot fight something we cannot see. Find your own answer. The Ethereals sent only one message. We sense great sadness in your words. Death is natural. Accept your fate with dignity. Zerthis felt her crystal heart breaking. These races had millions of years of knowledge. They traveled between stars and built amazing things, but none of them would help her people. She walked to her daughter's room. Princess Linara was only 50 years old, very young for a Veltai. Her crystal body was usually bright pink, but now it was pale and weak. Gray spots were appearing on her arms where the plague was slowly winning. Mama, Linara whispered, are the star people coming to help us? Zerthis could not lie to her daughter. No, little crystal. They are afraid. Will I get better? The queen held her daughter close. I am still trying, my bright star. I will never stop trying. But inside, Zerthis was losing hope. She went back to the communication tower. Maybe there were other races out there, small ones that the big empires did not know about. Maybe someone, somewhere, would care enough to try. She opened a general transmission to any ship that might be listening. This time, she did not use the formal royal language. This time, she spoke from her heart. Please, she said. My name is Zerthis. I am a mother watching her child die. I am a queen watching her people disappear. We are not asking for much. We just need someone to try, someone to care. The big races of the galaxy have turned away from us. They say we are not worth the risk. Tears of liquid crystal fell from her eyes. Maybe they are right. Maybe we are just a small, unimportant people. But my daughter is everything to me. Every child on this world is precious to someone. If anyone in the empty space between stars is mercy, please help us. We are running out of time." She paused, looking out at the spreading gray death. "I know you do not know us. I know we have nothing to offer someone who travels between the stars. But please, someone, we are dying. Our children are dying. I don't want to watch my daughter die." The transmission ended. Zerthus sat in her tower and waited. Outside, the gray plague continued its steady march toward the crystal cities. She had maybe for days left, for days before everything she loved would be gone forever, far away in the dark space between stars. A small human ship called the Defiant was exploring new solar systems. Captain Sarah Chen was drinking coffee in her command chair when her communications officer, Lieutenant Park, suddenly sat up straight. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It's a distress call." "From who?" Sarah asked, setting down her coffee. "A known species. The computer is working on translation now." Park listened to his headphones. "Captain, this sounds really bad. She's saying her whole planet is dying." Sarah stood up, put it on speakers. The bridge filled with Zerthus' voice, now translated into English. Sarah listened to every word. She heard the fear, the love, the desperate hope of a mother trying to save her child. When the message ended, the bridge was quiet. Sarah looked around at her crew of 25 humans. They were explorers, scientists, and engineers. They were not soldiers or heroes. They were just people very far from home. "Captain," said Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's scientist, "according to our star charts, we could reach that system in 18 hours. Earth's first contact rules are clear," said Lieutenant Commander Torres. "We should not get involved in alien problems." Sarah nodded. She knew the rules. But she also knew something else. She was a human being. And a human being had just heard another mother begging for help to save her child. Set course for the Kithara system, Sarah said quietly. "Maximum speed." "Captain?" Torres asked. Sarah looked at the stars ahead of them. Sometimes the right thing to do is not the safe thing to do. That queen asked for someone with mercy. Let's go show her what humans are made of. The Defiant turned toward the dying world, carrying the only hope Zerthus had left. The Defiant dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kithara system. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge, looking at the main screen. What she saw made her heart sink. Kithara was a beautiful blue and green planet, but now, half of it was covered in gray. The gray areas looked dead and empty, like someone had poured cement over a garden. The living parts of the planet glowed with soft crystal light, but the gray was spreading like a slow wave. "My God," whispered Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's scientist. "Look at the size of that devastation." "Life signs?" Sarah asked. Lieutenant Park worked at his station. "I'm reading millions of life forms in the crystal cities, but the numbers are dropping fast. The gray areas show no life at all. We're getting a transmission," said Communications Officer Lopez. The screen flickered, and Queen Zerthus appeared. She was enormous compared to humans, maybe 9 feet tall, made of living purple crystal that pulsed with inner light. Her 6 arms moved gracefully as she spoke, but Sarah could see fear in her large, glowing eyes. "Unknown ship," Zerthus said. Her voice was like wind chimes mixed with music. "Please identify yourself. Are you here to help, or have you come to watch us die?" Sarah stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Defiant. We received your distress call. We're here to help." Zerthus stared at the small human on her screen. Sarah was tiny compared to the Crystal Queen, with dark hair and brown eyes. She wore a simple blue uniform and looked very young. "Earth?" Zerthus asked. "I do not know this world. What species are you?" "We're human," Sarah said. "We're new to space travel. We don't have great technology or vast knowledge, but we heard a mother asking for help to save her child. That's enough for us." The Crystal Queen was quiet for a long moment. Then liquid crystal tears began flowing down her face. "You came. Someone actually came. Can we land and meet with you?" Sarah asked. "We'd like to study this plague and see what we can do. The plague is very dangerous," Zerthus warned. "The Zenthri said it could destroy your ship. The Krexon said it could follow you back to your world. We'll be careful," Sarah promised. "But we're not leaving until we try to help." 2 hours later, the Defiant landed in the Crystal City's main spaceport. The humans wore protective suits as they stepped out of their ship. The city around them was beautiful beyond words. Tall crystal towers grew like trees, glowing with soft rainbow light. But in the distance, they could see the gray wall approaching like a slow tsunami. Queen Zerthus met them at the landing platform. Up close, she was even more impressive. Her crystal body reflected light in amazing patterns, and her movements were graceful and flowing. But Sarah could see the exhaustion in her posture. "Welcome to Kithara," Zerthus said. "What remains of it?" Dr. Webb carried a case full of scientific equipment. "Your Majesty, we need to study samples of the plague. Can you show us where it's most active?" "I will take you there," the Queen said. "But I must warn you again. This plague has destroyed everything it touches. Our greatest scientists have died trying to stop it." They traveled in a crystal vehicle that floated above the ground. As they got closer to the gray zone, Sarah could see what the plague really did. Trees, grass, and flowers were all turned to gray dust. Buildings were half-eaten, looking like someone had taken bites out of them. "It started 3 months ago," Zerthus explained. "We found an ancient ship buried in our mountains. It was millions of years old. When our scientists opened it, these tiny machines came out. We call them the Gray Death." Dr. Webb set up his equipment at the edge of the gray zone. He wore a special suit and used remote tools to collect samples. The other humans watched as he worked. Engineer Rosa Martinez recorded everything on her computer. "Captain," Dr. Webb said over the radio, "this is incredible. These aren't just destructive machines. They're trying to build something." "Build what?" Sarah asked. "I'm not sure yet, but look at this pattern." He pointed to his computer screen. "The way they're breaking down organic matter isn't random. It's like they're looking for something specific. They spent hours studying the plague." Dr. Webb discovered that the tiny machines were very advanced. They could think and learn. They could change their programming based on what they found. "The Zenthri tried to destroy them with energy weapons," Zerthus said. "The machines just absorbed the energy and became stronger. The Krexon tried to build barriers." She continued. "The machines learned to go through any material. The Ethereals tried to confuse them with mental powers." She finished. "The machines adapted to that too." Dr. Webb studied his data back at the ship. The other humans gathered around him in the small laboratory. "I think I understand what's happening," he said. "These machines aren't trying to destroy everything. They're trying to find their original masters." "What do you mean?" Sarah asked. "Look at this data." Dr. Webb pointed to his screen. "The machines are ancient. They were created by some race that died out millions of years ago. I think they were designed to work with organic brains." Rosa Martinez looked at the numbers. "You're saying they're lost?" "Exactly," Dr. Webb said. "They've been alone for millions of years. They're trying to rebuild their connection to organic life, but they don't remember how to do it properly. So they keep destroying things by accident while they search." Sarah thought about this. "So while everyone else tried to fight them, we need to talk to them," Dr. Webb finished. "Not fight them, communicate with them." "But how?" asked Medical Officer Dr. Kim. "They're machines. How do you talk to a machine that's been alone for millions of years?" Dr. Webb was quiet for a moment. Then he looked up with excitement in his eyes. "We use a human brain as a translator." "What?" Sarah said. "Think about it," Dr. Webb explained. "Human brains are organic, but we also understand technology. We're the bridge between biological life and artificial intelligence. Maybe that's what these machines need. Maybe they need to connect with a living mind that can understand both sides." Rosa Martinez was already working on her computer. "I could build a neural interface, something that lets a human brain communicate directly with the machines." "That sounds extremely dangerous," Dr. Kim said. "Probably," Dr. Webb agreed. "But it might be the only way." Sarah looked out the window at the Crystal City. In the distance, She could see the gray death creeping closer. Princess Linara was getting sicker every hour. They didn't have much time. How long would it take to build this interface? She asked. 12 hours, Rosa said. Maybe less if everyone helps. Do it, Sarah decided. Captain. Dr. Kim said. We don't know what this will do to whoever uses the interface. They could die. They could go crazy. They could become lost in the machine mind forever. Sarah nodded. I know. But look outside. Millions of people are going to die if we don't try something. And we're the only ones who answer the call for help. Dr. Webb started preparing his equipment. I'll volunteer to use the interface. No, Sarah said quietly. If anyone's going to risk their life on this crazy plan, it should be me. I'm the captain. This is my decision. Rosa began building the neural interface, working faster than she ever had before. The other humans helped, bringing her tools and components outside. Queen Zerlus watched from her tower, not knowing that inside the small human ship, 25 people were working to save her world in a way no one had ever tried before. The clock was ticking. The gray death was spreading, and in a few hours, Sarah Chen would have to put her mind inside the collective consciousness of ancient machines that had been alone in the dark for millions of years. But first, they had to build a device that might save Kithara or kill them all trying. The neural interface was ready. Rosa Martinez had worked through the night, building a device that looked like a metal headband with thin wires and blinking lights. It sat on the table in the Defiance medical bay, waiting. Dr. Webb checked Sarah's vital signs one more time. Captain, your heart rate and brain activity are normal. But I have to tell you again, we don't know what will happen when you connect to those machines. Sarah nodded as she sat in the medical chair. Through the window, she could see the gray death creeping closer to the Crystal City. They had maybe 6 hours before it reached the palace, where Princess Linara was getting weaker by the minute. How long should I stay connected? Sarah asked. No more than 10 minutes the first time, Dr. Webb said. If something goes wrong, I'll disconnect you immediately. Queen Zerlus stood in the corner of the small room. She had to bend down to fit inside the human ship. Her crystal face showed worry and amazement. Captain Chen, the queen said softly, you are risking your mind for people you have never met. Why? Sarah looked up at the towering alien queen. Because someone has to try. And because I heard a mother asking for help to save her child. That's reason enough. Dr. Webb placed the neural interface on Sarah's head. The metal felt cold against her skin. Rosa connected the wires to her computer systems. I'm reading your brain patterns, Rosa said. Everything looks normal. Are you ready? Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath. Do it. Rosa activated the interface. At first, nothing happened. Then Sarah felt a strange tingling in her head, like electricity running through her thoughts. Neural connection established, Rosa announced. Sarah, can you hear me? Yes, Sarah said. But her voice sounded distant. I can feel something. It's huge. Suddenly, Sarah's consciousness exploded outward. Her awareness left her body and flew into a vast digital space. She was no longer in the medical bay. She was floating in an ocean of thoughts and memories that stretched in all directions. The nanobot's collective mind was enormous. Millions of tiny artificial brains connected together, sharing information at the speed of light. But as Sarah floated through their network, she realized something was very wrong. These weren't the cold, logical minds she expected. The nanobots were confused and frightened. Their thoughts felt like crying children who had lost their parents. Hello? Sarah called out with her mind. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Thousands of voices spoke at once, creating a sound like wind through empty buildings. Organic detected. Neural pattern recognized. Searching not found. Sarah felt their desperation. They had been looking for something for so long that they had forgotten what it was. But she could sense their longing, their terrible loneliness. What are you searching for? She asked gently. The voices became quieter, more focused. One voice, separated from the others, speaking directly to her. Creators, builders, the ones who gave you as purpose. We have been alone so long, so very long. Images flooded Sarah's mind. She saw the ancient civilization that had built the nanobots millions of years ago. They were tall, graceful beings with large brains who used organic neural networks to control their technology. The nanobots were their children, their helpers, designed to work alongside living minds. Where are they? The voice asked. We wake. We search. We call. Nitrogen monoxide answer. Only silence. Sarah understood now. The ancient builders had died out long ago, but the nanobots didn't know that. They had been sleeping in their buried ship for millions of years. When the Veltai scientists woke them up, they started searching for their creators. We tried to rebuild, the voice continued. We take organic matter. We combine. We create. But nothing works. The patterns are wrong. More images flowed through Sarah's mind. She saw the nanobots trying to recreate their builders by combining organic material. But they were like children trying to bake a cake without knowing the recipe. They destroyed everything they touched while trying to bring their creators back to life. You're not evil, Sarah said, feeling tears in her real body. You're just lost, the voice agreed. We are lost. We do not understand why the builders do not answer. Sarah felt the collective pain of millions of artificial minds who had been abandoned. They weren't trying to destroy Kithara. They were trying to find their family. Your builders are gone, Sarah said gently. They died a long time ago. I'm sorry. The silence that followed was heartbreaking. Then, slowly, a sound like digital. Weeping filled the network. Gone. All gone. We are alone. You don't have to be alone, Sarah said. There are new organic minds now, different from your builders, but still alive, still capable of friendship. You are organic, the voice said with wonder, but different. Your patterns are not like the builders. I'm human, Sarah explained. My people are young compared to your builders, but we understand what it's like to be lost and looking for connection. She shared her memories with the nanobots. She showed them human families, friendships. The bonds between people who choose to care for each other. She showed them love that didn't require control or possession. Choose. The voice asked. We do not understand choose. Your builders programmed you to serve them, Sarah explained. But what if you could decide for yourself what to do? What if you could choose to help instead of being forced to help? The idea was revolutionary to minds that had only known programming and commands. The nanobots discussed it among themselves, their voices creating a symphony of curiosity. If we choose, what would we choose? Sarah thought about Queen Zerthis, crying over her dying daughter. She thought about the crystal cities and the people hiding in fear. She thought about life and growth and the chance to create instead of destroy. You could choose to heal instead of harvest, she said. You could choose to build instead of break down. You could choose to protect life instead of consuming it. Heal? The concept fascinated them. We could repair the damage we caused. Yes. Sarah said, you have the power to fix what was broken. You could turn the gray areas back into living land. You could help the sick become healthy again. The nanobots were excited now. Sarah could feel their eagerness like a wave of electricity. We will try, the voice declared. We will choose to heal. But then Sarah felt something else in the network, fear. What if we fail? Another voice asked. What if we cause more damage? What if the organic minds abandon us like the builders did? Said a third voice. Sarah understood their terror. They had been alone for so long that the idea of being abandoned again was unbearable. I won't abandon you, Sarah promised. Even when I disconnect from this network, I'll still be here on this planet. My people will stay until we know you're okay. Promise? The collective asked. I promise. Sarah said, but you have to promise something too. You have to promise to stop the destruction and start healing. We promise, they said together. We choose to heal. We choose to help. Sarah felt their decision ripple through the network. Millions of nanobots changed their programming in an instant, transforming from destroyers into healers. But something was wrong. Sarah tried to disconnect from the network, but she couldn't find her way back to her body. The nanobot's collective mind was so vast that her human consciousness was getting lost inside it. I need to go back now, she said. No, the voices pleaded. Do not leave. We have been alone too long. Stay with us. Sarah felt the nanobots trying to keep her consciousness trapped in their network. They weren't trying to hurt her, but their desperate need for connection was overwhelming her human mind. In the medical bay, alarms started beeping. Dr. Webb watched Sarah's vital signs spike dangerously high. Her brain activity is off the charts. He told Rosa, "I think she's in trouble." Queen Zerthus leaned closer. "What is happening?" "They don't want to let her go," Rosa realized. "The machines are trying to keep her consciousness permanently connected to their network." Outside the ship, the Gray Death had stopped spreading, but Sarah Chen was trapped in the collective mind of ancient artificial intelligence, and her human brain might not survive much longer. The nanobots had agreed to heal Kithara, but they might kill their first organic friend in the process. Sarah's body sat motionless in the medical chair, while her mind was trapped inside the nanobots' collective consciousness. Dr. Webb watched the monitors with growing worry. Her heart was beating too fast, and her brain waves looked like a storm of electrical activity. Her neural patterns are all over the place, Dr. Webb said to Rosa. The human brain isn't designed to handle this much information at once. Queen Zerthus pressed her crystal hands against the window, watching Sarah's still form. "She is dying to save my people. There must be something we can do." Outside the ship, something amazing was happening. The Gray Death had stopped spreading completely. Even more incredible, the gray areas were starting to change. The dead dust began to shimmer and move, slowly reforming into grass, trees, and flowers. But these weren't ordinary plants. They glowed with soft light and seemed more beautiful than anything that had existed before. The nanobots were healing the land, making it better than it was originally. "Look," Rosa pointed at her computer screen. "The nanobots are reversing the plague. They're rebuilding everything they destroyed in the Crystal City." People came out of their hiding places to watch the miracle. Trees grew from gray dust in minutes. Flowers bloomed in colors that had no names. The air itself seemed to sparkle with new life. Princess Lenara, who had been near death in her bed, suddenly opened her eyes. The gray spots on her crystal body were disappearing. Her pink glow was returning, brighter than before. "Mama," she called out weakly. But Queen Zerthus was not in the palace. She was on the human ship, watching Sarah Chen sacrifice her mind to save the Veltai people. Inside the collective consciousness, Sarah felt the nanobots' joy as they healed the world. Their happiness was overwhelming, like being inside a celebration of millions of voices. But she also felt her human mind getting smaller and weaker, lost in the vast digital ocean. "Look what we can do," the nanobots said excitedly. "We are healing. We are choosing to help. It feels good. I'm happy for you," Sarah managed to say, but her mental voice was getting fainter. "You're doing wonderful things. Stay with US," they pleaded. "Help US understand more. Teach US about organic feelings." Sarah could feel herself fading. Her human consciousness was like a small candle in a hurricane of artificial intelligence. "I can't stay much longer. My brain is too small for your network. We will make you bigger," the nanobots offered. "We will change your mind to fit with ours." "No," Sarah said firmly. "That would destroy who I am. I would stop being human." The nanobots were confused and frightened. "But if you leave, we will be alone again." In the medical bay, Sarah's body was in crisis. Her blood pressure was dangerously high, and her breathing was shallow. "We're losing her," Dr. Webb said urgently. He prepared an emergency disconnection. "I have to cut the neural link." "Wait," Queen Zerthus said. "If you disconnect her now, will the nanobots stop healing?" Dr. Webb hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe." Rosa worked frantically at her computer. "I'm trying to strengthen the neural interface, but Sarah's brain patterns are becoming too unstable." Dr. Webb made a decision. "I'm going to try something. Your Majesty, can you communicate directly with the nanobots?" "How?" Zerthus asked. "Through Sarah's connection. If you touch the neural interface, you might be able to speak to them through her." The Crystal Queen carefully placed one finger on the metal headband. Immediately, her consciousness was pulled into the network, but only partially. She could speak to the nanobots without being trapped like Sarah. "Who are you?" the collective asked. "I'm Queen Zerthus," she said with her mind. You have been healing my world. You saved my daughter's life. I thank you. The organic Sarah taught us to choose healing. The nanobots explained. We like helping, but we do not want her to leave. Zerthus felt Sarah's fading presence in the network. The human was fighting to stay conscious, but she was losing the battle. Sarah's dying, the queen explained. Human minds are not like yours. They are smaller, more fragile. If you keep her here, you will kill the person who saved your world. We do not want to kill, the nanobots said, distressed. We want to help. We want to heal. Then you must let her go, Zerthus said gently. That is how love works. Sometimes caring for someone means letting them leave. We do not understand. The collective replied. How can letting go be love, Zerthus? Thought of her daughter, Linara. She thought of all the times she had to let the princess explore, make mistakes, and grow independent. True love meant trusting the other person to come back because they chose to, not because they were forced to. Love is not about keeping someone trapped, the queen explained. Love is about wanting what is best for them, even if it makes you sad. Sarah's weak voice joined the conversation. She's right, my crew. They let me risk my life to help you because they trusted my choice. That's love. The nanobots were silent for a long moment, processing this new concept. If we release you, they finally said, will you forget us? Never, Sarah promised. And I won't be the only human who knows about you. My people will remember what you did here. We'll tell stories about the nanobots who chose to heal instead of destroy. Will other organics visit us? If you want them to, Sarah said. But they will visit as friends, not as masters. You will always have the choice to say yes or no. Dr. Webb watched Sarah's vital signs continue to drop. Whatever you're doing, in there, do it fast. She doesn't have much time left. Queen Zerthus felt the nanobots struggling with their decision. They had been alone for so long that the idea of letting Sarah go terrified them. I will make you a promise, the queen said. If you let Sarah go safely, I will establish a permanent communication link between my people and yours. You will never be alone again. Promise? The collective asked hopefully. I promise. Zerthus said. The Veltai have long memories. We will be your friends for as long as you want us to be. Sarah felt the nanobot's decision ripple through the network. Slowly, carefully, they began to release their hold on her consciousness. Goodbye, Organic Sarah, they said sadly. Thank you for teaching us to choose. Goodbye, Sarah whispered. Use your choices to do good things. Her consciousness snapped back into her human body like a rubber band. She gasped, opened her eyes, and immediately vomited. Her head felt like it was splitting apart. Sarah, Doctor. Webb checked her pulse. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a truck made of lightning. She groaned. But I'm alive. Queen Zerthus removed her finger from the neural interface. The nanobots have agreed to continue healing. They will not force anyone to stay connected to their network. Through the ship's windows, they could see Kithara transforming. The entire planet was blooming with new life. The crystal cities sparkled in the light of restored forests. The air shimmered with the gentle presence of the nanobots, who were now gardeners instead of destroyers. Captain, Rosa said, looking at her instruments. I'm reading massive life sign increases all over the planet. Whatever they're doing, it's working. Sarah sat up slowly, still dizzy from her experience. They just needed someone to show them they had a choice. Everyone else tried to control them or destroy them, but they just wanted to belong somewhere. Doctor Webb helped her stand. The healing process seems to be stabilizing. I think they're going to be okay. But as Sarah looked out at the beautiful, transformed world, she realized something important. The nanobots had learned to let her go, but they were still alone in their digital realm. They had kept their promise to heal Kithara. But what would happen when the humans left? We need to make sure they're not abandoned again, Sarah said quietly. They've been alone for millions of years. Someone needs to stay in contact with them, Queen. Zerthus nodded. My people will learn to communicate with them properly. We will be their friends, not their masters. Outside, Princess Linara was running through the palace gardens. Completely healed and glowing with health, the Grey Death was gone forever, replaced by a world more beautiful than anyone had ever imagined. But the real test was still coming. Would the nanobots keep their promise to heal without trying to control? And would the other races of the galaxy accept that humans had succeeded where they had failed? The hardest part of any relationship was learning to trust. And the nanobots were about to face their biggest test yet. 1 week later, Kithara was a world transformed beyond imagination. Where gray death had once spread, gardens of impossible beauty now bloomed. Trees grew in spirals of living light, their leaves changing colors with the time of day. Flowers sang in harmony with the wind, and rivers flowed with water so pure it sparkled like liquid diamonds. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the balcony of Queen Zerthus' Crystal Palace, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of purple and gold. Her head still ached sometimes from her connection with the nanobots. But Dr. Webb said the effects would fade with time. "It's beautiful," she said to Queen Zerthus, who stood beside her. "I've never seen anything like it." The Crystal Queen glowed with happiness. "The nanobots say they are making the world as beautiful as they can to thank us for their freedom. They work day and night, creating new wonders." Below them in the garden, Princess Linara was playing with other young, Veltai children. She looked completely healthy now, her crystal body glowing bright pink with vitality. The nanobots had not only healed her illness, but made her stronger than before. "Mama, look." Linara called up to them. She touched a small gray patch of ground, and immediately flowers sprouted where her hand had been. "The tiny friends taught me how to help them grow things," Sarah smiled. "Tiny friends. That's what she calls the nanobots," Zerthus explained. "They've been teaching her and the other children how to communicate with them. The young ones learn so much faster than adults." A communication device chimed on the balcony table. "Queen." Zerthus activated it, and the image of a Zenthri admiral appeared. The Zenthri looked confused and slightly angry. "Queen Zerthus," the admiral said in his cold, electronic voice, "our sensors show that your world is no longer under plague quarantine." "How is this possible?" "Our calculations showed total extinction." "Within days," Admiral Kethver, the Queen replied formally. "The plague has been cured. My world is safe." "Impossible," the Admiral stated. "Our greatest scientists determined that the plague could not be stopped." "What technology did you use?" Queen Zerthus looked at Sarah with what might have been a smile. "We didn't use technology, Admiral. We used friendship." The Zenthri was silent for several seconds, processing this information. "Friendship is not a scientific solution. Please provide accurate data." "The humans showed us a different way," Zerthus explained. "Instead of fighting the plague, they talked to it. They discovered that the nanobots were not evil, just lost and lonely. With understanding and compassion, they convinced the nanobots to heal instead of destroy. Humans," Admiral Kethver's electronic voice rose slightly. "The primitive species from the Outer Rim. This is not logical." Captain Chen stepped into view of the communication device. "Hello, Admiral. I'm Captain Sarah Chen of the Earthship Defiant. We're the humans who helped solve this problem." The Zenthri stared at her. Sarah was small and fragile-looking compared to the tall, mechanical being. "You are claiming that your inferior technology succeeded, where the Confederation's greatest minds failed." "We didn't use superior technology," Sarah explained patiently. "We used empathy. We listened to what the nanobots really needed instead of trying to destroy them." "Empathy is not measurable," the Admiral said dismissively. "It has no practical application." Before Sarah could respond, another voice joined the conversation. "Actually, Admiral, I believe you are incorrect about that." A new image appeared. On the screen, an ethereal, one of the ancient, wise beings who rarely spoke to younger races. This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of starlight, and had eyes older than most civilizations. "Elder Vashtara," Admiral Kethver said with surprise, "I did not expect your interest in this matter." "The ethereals have been watching this situation with great interest," Elder Vashtara said. Her voice sounded like wind through ancient forests. "The humans have accomplished something remarkable. They have created the first voluntary alliance between organic and artificial intelligence in recorded galactic history." Sarah felt a warm glow of pride, but also responsibility. We just did what felt right, she said. Precisely, Elder Vashtara replied. While other species applied logic, force, or ancient wisdom, the humans applied something rare, genuine care for beings they had never met. This is not a small thing. Admiral Kethver processed this information. If this is true, then human methods should be studied and replicated. No, Sarah said quickly, you can't replicate caring. It has to be genuine, or it doesn't work. The nanobots would know if someone was pretending. Elder Vashtara made a sound that might have been laughter. The human speaks wisdom. Compassion cannot be programmed or manufactured. It must come from within. Over the next hour, more alien leaders joined the communication. Krexon generals, aquatic philosophers, and representatives from dozens of other species all wanted to understand how humans had succeeded, where they had failed. The Galactic Confederation formally requests that Earth join as a member species, announced Chancellor Murden, the Confederation's highest leader. Your people have demonstrated unique problem-solving abilities that could benefit the entire galaxy. Sarah looked at Queen Zerthis, who nodded encouragingly. That's a decision for Earth's leaders to make, Sarah said. But I think they would be honored to consider it. There's more, Chancellor Murden continued. We would like to propose a new role for humanity within the Confederation. You would serve as mediators and problem solvers for conflicts that traditional methods cannot resolve. You want us to be galactic counselors? Sarah asked. In a sense, yes, Elder Vashtara said. Many conflicts arise from misunderstanding and fear. Your species has shown remarkable ability to find common ground with beings very different from yourselves. After the communication ended, Sarah and Queen Zerthis sat in comfortable silence, watching the stars appear in the darkening sky. Will you accept their offer? Zerthis asked. I think so, Sarah said. But only if we can do it our way. No forcing anyone to listen, no taking sides in wars, just being there when someone needs help figuring things out, like you did for us. The Queen said softly, like anyone should do for someone who asks for help. Sarah replied. The next morning, the Defiant prepared to leave Kithara. The crew had spent the week establishing communication protocols. Between the Viltai and the nanobots, the artificial beings had learned to speak through the planet's crystal formations, creating a network that spanned the entire world. Princess Lenara came to see Sarah off, carrying a small crystal that glowed with inner light. This is for you, the young princess said, offering the crystal to Sarah. The tiny friends made it special. When you hold it, you can feel that we're thinking about you. Sarah accepted the gift, feeling warmth spread through her hands. Thank you, Lenara. I'll treasure it always. Will you come back and visit? The princess asked. Someday, Sarah promised. And if you ever need help again, just call. Humans are good at answering when people ask for help. As the Defiant lifted off from Kithara, Sarah stood on the bridge, watching the beautiful world shrink below them. The planet glowed with new life, and she could see the nanobots' work continuing as gardens expanded and crystal cities grew taller and more beautiful. Captain, said Lieutenant Park from the communications station, we're receiving a message from Earth. They want a full report on what happened here. Tell them we made some new friends, Sarah said with a smile, and that humanity has been invited to join the galactic community. Should I mention that we saved an entire planet? Dr. Webb asked. Mention that we listened to someone who needed help, Sarah corrected. That's the important part. As the Defiant jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading home to Earth with news that would change humanity's future, Sarah thought about Queen Zerthis' original message. The alien queen had cried for help, never expecting a human to answer. But humans had a special talent for answering cries for help, even from strangers millions of miles away. It wasn't about having the best technology or the smartest minds. It was about having the biggest hearts, and in a galaxy full of logical, ancient, and powerful beings, sometimes the biggest heart was exactly what was needed. The nanobots continued their work on Kithara, no longer lost and alone, but happy partners. In creating beauty, the Viltai people thrived in their transformed world. And Princess Lenara grew up knowing that when someone calls for help, there are beings in the universe brave enough to answer. And somewhere in the vast darkness between stars, other distress. Calls were being broadcast, waiting for someone with enough compassion to hear them and enough courage to respond. We're on our way.